Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome, everybody. So happy to be here once again, Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. We always have all these legends, all these amazing people, these amazing souls, and they are legendary in their own right. They're amazing beings doing incredible work here. You're legendary. Everybody's legendary. It's a matter of not letting yourself be a secret anymore, though, right? For some of you, allow your legendary self to shine through, be the spiritual rock star you're meant to be. I love featuring people that are up to incredible things, sharing the rocket messages for the consciousness that are helping us wake up. And today we have an amazing guest to help you with that, to help you discover more about your soul purpose. Maybe you think, man, but I've learned a lot about soul purpose. So this guy's a channeler. This guy is deeply giving you the deeper harmonic truth of what's going on with everything right now, and specifically for you. You really want to hear about that. So I'm really looking forward to diving in just one moment.
Want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate, Make Money meditation today.
Okay, well, I'm so grateful I have you here today, Gary.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Okay. All right. Well, let's share everything about you here. To be brief, actually, I guess it's not everything, but more about you here up front with a little description about Gary. Gary Temple Bodley is a channeler and channels a group of non-physical teachers known as Joshua. He has written 5 books based on discovering your soul's purpose. So he's got a little credibility. He's written a couple books, at least 5 books. That's awesome. By radically changing your approach to life. He's also the host of the popular podcast, Joshua Live, where he just told me, where he does channeling on there. So you definitely want to check that out as well. So Gary, one of the first questions I ask almost every single guest is like, so you're channeling? That's kind of a big deal still, even to this day, still kind of a big deal. It's getting less of a big deal than in the past, but it's still kind of a big deal. And, what brought you into that? What brought you into doing this channeling work and discovering your own soul purpose?
Well, it's, I lived the same life that we all lived. I was trying to be successful, trying to prove my worthiness, trying to get people to like, love, and appreciate me. I was really involved in real estate, made a lot of money, was very successful, lived on the water, had the house, the boat, the whole thing. And in 2008, lost everything. So completely wiped out, which was sort of a relief at the time because I had all these employees and buildings and everything, and it just all crumbled apart. House went into foreclosure, all that stuff. And so I'm sitting in this new house that we rented it from friends, and it was absolutely this amazing house on a huge park in South Florida on the river, wildlife everywhere, totally peaceful. You couldn't see any neighbors. And I thought about, well, what am I going to do now? I've been doing this thing my whole life. I'm about 45 years old at the time. And so I started just doing what I like to do, which was renovating houses. And then I got interested in poker, and I was just really, enjoying my life. And what happened was a friend of ours brought over The Secret. And so my wife and I got really into The Secret, and we listened to it many, many times. And then when we're done with that, we're like, well, what's next? And in our own library, we found Ask and Is Given by Abraham Hicks. So we had bought it before and listened to it, but I didn't remember it. So we listened to it again and got really into it and really liked it. And then went to a workshop in Nashville for 2 days, and just everything started from there. I found my passion, she found her passion, and life was great. In 2013, I got this incredible inspiration to start meditating. And I had never meditated before in my life. I didn't want to do it. I thought it was woo-woo, but Jerry Seinfeld was meditating and lots of other people. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So I listened to the Abraham guided meditations. I did like 2 minutes the first time, but eventually over a couple of weeks, I was able to do the whole thing. Then I started feeling this presence in the side of my head. It was like a hand under my skin, just moving around, really obvious. not alarming. It was comforting, but, I noticed something was there. I thought, this is weird. Does this happen to everyone? I looked it up and it's very unusual. So it just came every day, every single time I was meditating. And then one day I asked it a question. I thought it was crazy, but like as if I was in the hot seat with Abraham. And the answer came back really quick. I'm like, am I making this up? This is a great answer, but am I making this up?
Right.
And so next day I asked questions. And then one day I said, who is this? And they said, we are Joshua. Now they didn't say it. It was just the thought. And the thought felt like my thought. So that's why I felt like I was making it up.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I said, yeah, whatever. It sounds like Abraham. So maybe it is. Maybe I'm making it up. And that went on for a little while. And then on November 15th, 2013, I'm meditating and I hear the words, right, right, right. So I get up, go to my home computer, close the door, and just start typing. The first words I typed were, everything is right, period. The next words were, there is no wrong anywhere in the universe. And then I typed 3 pages that first day. Didn't know what it was, showed it to my wife, showed it to my friend Deborah Jo and her husband Frank. And they're like, this is amazing. I go, I don't even know what this is. Next day, I wrote some more. Next day, I wrote some more. In 8 weeks, that 300-page book was done. The day that ended, the next book started. Another 8 weeks, another 300 pages. That book's Health, Wealth, and Love. The first book's called A Perception of Reality. And since then, 5 books have been done. I self-published the first book, sent it to Jules Johnson at the Law of Attraction Radio Network. And she said, you got to do a podcast. So I started a podcast, but I wasn't channeling verbally. I was just channeling in writing. Mm-hmm. It sort of grew organically. People found out about it. They started sending me questions. I channeled the answers for them. One thing led to another. Then I went on a Law of Attraction cruise with Pam Grout, who wrote E Squared, that book. And we were doing presentations. There's a whole bunch of people on the cruise. And Jules hypnotized me. And then I started channeling verbally. Then I started doing that with groups of people, did workshops and stuff, and then started that podcast, which is Joshua Live. That was 8 years ago. And my life has radically changed since then. So what that journey was from the time I first started meditating until now was the journey of discovering my soul's purpose. So my soul's purpose was to become this channel and to channel this information, which is everything is right. There is no wrong anywhere in the universe. Okay. We all think there's some things are good, some things are bad, some things are right, some things are wrong. That's duality. But that is based on a perception of ourselves that we're victims. So that victims means that the outside conditions can make you feel something. That's not true. Your perception of those conditions based in empowering beliefs or limiting beliefs either cause you to feel like things are going well or cause you to feel that something's wrong. So a limiting belief, when that gets triggered, you feel fear and negative emotion, and you're perceiving that condition as if it's wrong. It's not wrong. You're just perceiving it as wrong now because you're looking at it from this limited perspective. And that nugget of information delivered on November 15th, 2013, Everything is Right, launched this entire series of teachings and channelings and hundreds of articles, and all this stuff that's gone on since then, and massive amounts of people, and the podcast is pretty big. And it's this new approach to life. Well, what if everything was right? What if there was no wrong in the earth? Which means that everything is perfect, which also means that that you're perfect as you are. And that self-improvement really is a myth. Now, here's the tricky thing. If everything is perfect and we accept that, then nothing's going to change. And that's not true. Acceptance is the key to change. And in acceptance, you receive inspiration. And that inspiration will lead you, like it did me, on this journey over the last 8 years to discover my soul's purpose.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Wonderful. Yeah, I love that. Well, that's an incredible journey. Going from real estate and not really being super into all this stuff. It's too woo-woo, right? And then you're channeling. So that's a pretty rapid shift right there. I mean, that's pretty incredible, actually, pretty remarkable. And So I'm grateful that that unfolded. I think what I love, like, again, like one of the things I like to really talk about here is that authentic path of what we're really here for and how that unfolds and what it sort of often looks like, the qualities of it. And the quality of really doing the thing you're here to do is that there's a truly, there's always some level of organic authenticity flow to it. It's not like, man, I kind of get an energy there. You know what? It'd be brilliant if I like package this thing up and be a channeler and like write lots of books and make lots of money. And it's not like like you came from that place. It was just like, hey, this thing's happening. That's what it sounds like. Like it's just downloading. It's happening. You're just the vessel letting it happen. I mean, is that fairly accurate? Or
not only is it accurate, but when it started, I didn't want to tell anyone about it because it was so weird. Yeah. Here I am, this guy trying to make people think I'm successful and worthy and someone you want to hang out with. Mm-hmm. Last thing I wanted to do was be unusual or strange. Right. And so I had to push past so much fear. Like I didn't even share any of this on my personal Facebook page until like 3 years ago. I remember that day going, I've got to share this because I have a whole bunch of friends, tons of friends, right? I got to share this with everybody. This was really a process of coming out. I had to come out to my parents and my brother and my friends. I had to sit them down and go, this is, and I was so afraid that they would think I was weird or crazy and that they wouldn't be friends with me anymore, but I was accepted by every single one of them. And then pushing that button to publish that post on Facebook for the first time, I had to push past fear to do that. But that action, which was inspired, expanded me to new levels of confidence. And so now here I am 8 years later, and I can talk about this with anyone, anywhere. Everyone knows what I do. And I've got to this level of satisfaction that I've never experienced before. When we were rich, we had all these rich friends. We all would sit around at these parties going, is this all there is? There's no satisfaction in what we're doing. And so we would try and do charities and one by one, everyone's lives unraveled. We lost everything. Friends went, got DUIs or divorces or got illnesses, whatever it was. And it was like, yeah, we were chasing that American dream, which was unsatisfying. I lost it all. So I had to start over. And I luckily found the secret in Abraham and went on that journey over 13 years, really, to find something that's so satisfying you couldn't imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the funny thing about the whole thing with Abraham and all this channeling and stuff, like I remember like way back, to me it's way back, but like it was early 2000s or something like that when I started hearing about it and taking it in a bit. I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting and all that good stuff, but I was like, yeah, I don't know. This channeling thing's kind of a racket. Like, whatever, I could channel. It doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course. Then eventually I was channeling, right? So I think that you protest is sometimes the thing you're meant to be about. You're meant to embrace more and to allow it to be not egoic a big deal, but like it is a kind of a really big deal tuning into this stuff. And I made a real huge difference in people's lives. And like you have, I haven't done as much channeling as you have in your way, but I have like it's made such a difference. And to me, like it's made a difference. I'm sure you would say the same. Like it makes a difference for us, right? Hearing the message come through, it's like transforms us. It's so
absolutely
amazing.
Yeah. It almost seems like it's all for us,
right?
But it helps other people too. It's just it. And what I've come to understand is that this is the natural ability that we all have.
Yes.
But when we don't start to understand what our thoughts are and how we're attracting them, we're not making up our thoughts in our mind. They're attracted like everything else, law of attraction. So meditation really helped me to see, which thoughts were resistant and then to let them go. And once I got to let them go, then I noticed this higher level thought coming in. And that's really the benefit of meditation. And that's the cornerstone to everything. Mm-hmm. And then I'm able now to really connect with my inner self. So I'm getting so much inspiration. Before I was always acting on motivation. I got to make this deal. I got to get this business going. I got to buy this thing. And because I always thought that by doing that, I would get what I wanted,
Right.
but I never did. No matter how much it did, I never felt anything. It never made me feel anything.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's a completely different way of living where you're not caring so much about what you think you want. That comes, of course, but what I'm focused on is the inspiration that comes. And if I can push past the fear to act on that inspiration, it always leads me to greater levels of expansion and all these different adventures. That's where it's really going towards.
That's the key, isn't it? It's like getting out of that thing that hooks us, right? Like I got to stay with my job because I need, I got to come up with that rent money or that for the mortgage, or I got to pay the bills or whatever. And some people feel like, well, I did try to push back through that. I got my certifications. I went out, try to be a coach. I did all this stuff or whatever. And I couldn't get clients. I had to go back to the job but it's like, yeah, it's kind of like I get that image of like a sort of like a fish with a hook, right? It's just like we just keep taking the bait, like, oh, I gotta eat, I gotta have this thing, and then the inspiration gets muted, or it doesn't come the same way, or we don't hear it, or whatever, and then we've got to be willing. I always say, if you're willing to experience like terror, if you're willing to experience terror, you can experience utter amazement and bliss. Like, you could go to the other level. If you're always like trying to keep it one level, well, yeah, you'll have some ups and downs. It's a good day. Not such a good day. But you'll never experience that fullness of your being. You'll never experience that in the same way. You'll never get that. You'll never get into that, or much less the deepening of getting up and all that sort of stuff. So that's the key, isn't it? It's like, it's not, I had James Twyman on. I don't know if you know him, but he was on my show before, and he talked about this too. I said, what's the thing that keeps people from doing these big things like you do, gathering people in Israel and all, whatever, all the big things he's done? And he's like, people are often not patient enough to just let it all kind of come in and then to flow with it. Even he's saying that, and he's done a lot of stuff in his career, and it's like we often just want to end run the whole thing, and like, okay, let's get real, we got to do this or that, right? So what do you find is like the key to? It's really remarkable to me what you said there. Like, just keep focusing on the inspiration. Don't be concerned with the money and all these other things. Like, focus more on that anyway, right? I mean, yeah. So Absolutely. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So there's two competing streams of thought that you're getting. It's a stream of thought of lack and fear. And when you're in that stream of thought, when you're fighting against your conditions and thinking things are wrong and wishing things were different, that stream of thought is constantly in your head. And it gives you urges to change conditions. I want to quit my job. I want to get divorced. I want to move away, blah, 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 right? But if you do those things before you've gotten a grasp on your vibration, you're just going to go into the same sort of thing again. Mm-hmm. The other competing stream is the stream of love and acceptance. That's your inner self talking to you. And in my case, Joshua, I was able to tap into that once I got to this level of acceptance. That took about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. From the start of finding the secret to Abraham, focusing on what I enjoyed, and then really living in deep appreciation and gratitude for the life I had. Mm-hmm. Once I did that, and then I stopped fighting against so much. I mean, I still was resistant to a lot of things, and I was still trying to make people appreciate me and things like that, but to a lesser degree. Mm-hmm. And I had what Joshua calls manifestation events. So I had some big manifestation events. And the manifestation event is anytime you have an experience where you feel negative emotion, it's there to show you that you have a limiting belief about something. Mm-hmm. And that's all that's happening. You have an experience, someone cuts you off in traffic, you get angry because you're viewing that as wrong. And then you've discovered that, well, that was triggered from a limiting belief. So you can look at that limiting belief and prove to yourself it's not true. Get back into alignment, which means that you're looking at your life from the same perspective your inner self is looking at it. It's perfect, right? Or it's good. Mm-hmm. So a number of those things happened, and I was able to realize, oh yeah, I'm just trying to get appreciation by being different than I am. Mm-hmm. So that was really a process of becoming more authentic. Mm-hmm. And we tend to build up these personas from childhood where we're trying to be good and do the right things and get people to like us and love us and that sort of thing. But it's inauthentic. And if you can strip that away and become more authentic, that paves the path for this inspiration to come. Now, anytime you receive inspiration, you're going to feel a bit of fear. You're going to say, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I can't do this or that, or it doesn't align with my ideal that I have in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so you discount that inspiration. And sometimes the inspiration is very subtle and small.
Mm-hmm.
As you act on more inspiration, you get more inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And you expand more in love rather than expanding in fear. When you act on an urge, you expand in fear. Nothing's wrong with that. We all do it. But if you can do that less often and then act on inspiration more often, it'll lead you on a path. And you can ask for inspiration at any time too.
Mm-hmm.
What should I do now? What's the most exciting thing I can do now?
Mm-hmm.
And you will get an idea. It'll come to you. And then if you do that, if you push past the fear and do it, it'll expand you to a new level of confidence so that you'll be more prepared for the inspiration that comes in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a gradual step-by-step process that all inspiration, once you take the action, that action will be enjoyable. All urges to change the conditions are not enjoyable. Quitting your job or getting a divorce or moving away because you hate everything. None of that, that's all efforting and struggling. It's never fun.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's also simple. It's just our trust level of allowing that to happen is the key. I mean, what are some tools that you give people or guiding principles that, I mean, because logically everybody will get, oh, okay, I got it. Actually, I've heard those sorts of things anyway before. How do you kind of train yourself to live in that way? Like what recommendations do you have?
So Joshua's talked to us about a new approach to life. So the old approach to life is trying to control the conditions, trying to control yourself, trying to control other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because you think that if you can control these conditions, then I'll feel good. The conditions will make me feel good. That's the illusion of the victim.
Right.
So what we have to do is go to a new approach to life of love and acceptance. So fear and control are synonymous. Love and acceptance is synonymous. So to love something is to accept it. So we have to start with this basis of acceptance, and acceptance is alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard that word 1,000 million times from Abraham. I never got what alignment was.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have our inner self that exists in the non-physical, who's us, just guiding us, and we have our physical self. Alignment is perceiving your life from the same perspective of your inner self. So when you're having fun and you think everything's going good and you're happy and you're feeling good, you're just perceiving your reality in that moment the same way your inner self is. And so your natural state of being is this state of joy. Whenever you're perceiving anything's wrong, then you're in conflict with your inner self's perception. And your inner self will let you know that you're perceiving the illusion by sending you negative emotion. So these emotions now are our guidance system, as Abraham has always said, but it's guiding us towards more alignment. And everyone who's listening on the show right now, you have a soul's purpose, and that soul's purpose will come to you because your inner self will guide you to it. The way you hear your inner self is to get into the state of alignment or acceptance, which means that no matter what's happening in your life, you just stop and then you change your perception of it or change your perspective of it. And you try to just focus on all the good. That's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
You appreciate this, you're grateful for that, you're grateful for this. Then you got to look at everything you think is wrong and realize the only reason you think it's wrong is because you have a fear or a limiting belief about it or about yourself in that area.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have that limiting belief, it would be impossible to see it as wrong.
Right.
So that means that every single thing you think is wrong is caused by a limiting belief. If you can find that limiting belief, you can prove that it's false because every single limiting belief is false.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we all have a core limiting belief, and that is we are not the creators of a reality. We are the victims to reality, and we're living in this malevolent environment. That core limiting belief is vital and necessary and required to go on a journey of self-discovery to discover your soul's purpose. Without that core limiting belief that we all have, you couldn't overcome these obstacles to make that journey. So it's all about shifting your perception of reality from what you think is wrong to seeing everything as right.
Mhm.
That sounds insane, and a lot of people won't even consider that as a possibility.
Right.
But what if it was?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I what if there's nothing wrong? Like I have a client, I wrote a book about that actually. So like, I mean,
Really?
yeah, yeah. Like, what if there's nothing wrong? And I mean, so like, I mean, that's the crux of it. It's like I've always said, the only thing that we really suffer from, it's an obvious statement, but like is judgment. It's not really the only thing we suffer from, really.
Yeah.
This is bad, right? This is bad, whatever it is. Even if I even say like with physical pain, I've had a lot of physical pain in my life at times. Even then, when I goes, the only thing I really was suffering from was the idea of this is bad.
Right.
It's really the only thing I was suffering from. I mean, yeah, you have all the sensation, like, oh, but it's just a sensation, really. The more you just sink into it, it's just a sensation. It's not wrong or right or whatever. It just is. It's all really ultimately is all good, really. I mean, it's all good. It's all working towards, as they say, right? It's love, or I'll call it for love, right? And it's true. It's
Exactly.
absolutely true. It's all that what that is. And so I just so appreciate that message, is because that's exactly what keeps us in tune. When people say I don't have a strong intuition, I don't know how to follow my guidance. Well, just start loving everything. Just start accepting everything. Man, your intuition is going to start working a whole lot better, because when your vibration goes down and you start judging everything, it's a lot harder to hear your intuition. Like I know it's when my vibe, when it does dip, it doesn't dip as much as it did in the early days of my life at all. But when it does, like it inevitably will for anybody at some level, it's like, yeah, I'm like, okay, what do I want? I don't know what I want right now. Like, and then
A
the
lot
way
of it,
the energy shifts, and all of a sudden, like, I know exactly what I want. Boom, 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 right?
a lot of it is we make up this ideal that we think our life should look like. And so we have this ideal, I'll be happy when I get this. And so
Right.
as long as it looks like you're going towards that ideal,
Right.
then you use that as your excuse to feel good. But if it
Right.
looks like it's not going to go there, like you get a bill in the mail or something, right?
Right.
Then you use that as your excuse to feel bad because it's not matching up with your
Right.
this ideal that's manufactured from this limited perspective.
Right.
But you can't see what your ideal really is because that's your soul's purpose. And you're not ready to see it because you're not a vibrational match to it. And if you did see it, it would look weird. Like if I saw my life now 8 years ago, I'd be like, that is too weird. I could never do it. But I took this journey that took 8 years and passed through fear. And every time I passed through fear, I became more aligned to it, more aligned to it, more aligned to it. And now here I am at this place where I'm happy with every aspect of my life. Financially abundant, love of my life lives here, the house of my dreams, millions of friends. I mean, friends everywhere. I could go anywhere in the world pretty much and be able to stay at somebody's house that I've met through the podcast and this work that I've been doing. It's such a rich life, but it would look weird for my 50-year-old version of me. I'm 58 now. So I had to go on that journey to be able to see it. And this is what Abraham always says about raising your vibration. When you raise that vibration, you will then see it. You can't see it until you raise your vibration. You become a vibrational match to it. So your vibration is your perception of yourself within your reality.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a low vibration, it means you have a low perception of yourself. And if you have a high vibration, you have a higher perception of yourself. So it all has to do with your perception of yourself in your reality and in context to every relationship you have with every person, everything, and every concept.
Mm-hmm.
So people might be doing really well in their career because they see themselves as really good in that career. Right. But they might be lonely because they don't see themselves as suitable for a mate. They have a low perception of themselves in that area. So any area that's working for you is you have a high perception, and any area that's not working for you. So that perception of yourself forms your vibration. Your vibration then is transmitted to the universe, and the universe brings back a reality that perfectly matches that or perfectly reflects that. Change any relationship to anything by seeing it from the higher perspective, and you raise your vibration in that area.
Mm.
But that doesn't mean you're not going to face manifestation events, because you have to face manifestation events if there's a limiting belief holding your vibration down.
Yeah.
So the work then is to understand that the event does not mean anything about you. It's just pointing out a limiting belief. So you don't take it personally. You don't ask the person who said the rude comment to be different. You realize, oh my God, I just have a limiting belief here. Let's find out what that is and let's process that.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right. Exactly. I mean, that we're willing to have those conversations too is huge, because I think people spend so much time guarding themselves from running into those alleyways, right? Like I know if I don't just keep everything on the nicey nice and play a certain way here, then wow, so things might get a little dicey. Then I'm gonna have to deal with my stuff. Like underneath the hood, that's really what's going on, and I don't want to feel that. I don't want to go there, and that's exactly where things want to go sometimes. Like okay, you're in that dark alley right now. It's time to connect with your heart to what's happening here. If it involves a person, connect your heart with that person. If it's a group of people, like it's all the rage, these people are all this stuff. So it's like, okay, bring love to these people. What are you meant to learn or gain from this? Appreciate it, love it. How is it perfect? Why is it perfect? So I really believe, because it's just the truth. I mean, it's a reality. It is reality. We are given millions and billions and trillions of endless perspectives and variety of life. So when people say, I want to save the world, they want to take all what they perceive as evil and bad and wrong in the world and take it out. It doesn't work that way, right?
Nope.
That's what I love about your message. That's what I've always known. Like, not always, but I mean, as I woke up out, let me put it that way,
Yeah.
is I come to understand, like, because when we get started with this stuff, it's like we want to eradicate all the problems. We're going to take care of everything. But once you start to get to a certain point of awareness with it, it's like you realize there's nothing wrong. It's just a matter of it's really just waking up and realizing what is your sole purpose in that. What are you here? What are you inspired towards in all aspects from your perspective? What you're saying, like a lot of times people talk about like their career and business and stuff, but like sole purpose can mean a whole lot more than that, is what you're telling us today. And how, what are you being inspired towards? And that is part of your unfoldment as a soul that, in my opinion, has gone through a lot of incarnations, and like we're going to a place of completion at some point. And so it's like, what is your path? That's what matters. It's the game of money, the game of this and that. The game itself isn't so serious or important ultimately. What matters is how are you being with all these things. Is what I always talk about. So anyways, so thank you for, I'm going on and on here, but that's just coming up as you said that. So, but yeah, I mean, I know like because I didn't even ask you, like you kind of been saying it, but like, what do you even consider, what is your sole purpose? I mean, you talk about the inspiration and everything, and like, because I think it's a big topic. I mean, a lot of people probably have different definitions of it. So ultimately, what do you consider to even be your sole purpose?
My sole purpose is communicating Joshua's information as eloquently and as effectively as possible, while still having the most spectacular life that I can imagine. Mm-hmm. So everything that I truly want is coming as a side effect of doing this work. Mm-hmm. And this obviously isn't work. This is just pure passion. I mean, I do it. I don't have to do it. I could easily do something else or live off what I have. I do it because it's so fulfilling and so rewarding. So this is my purpose. I've got, a whole group of people that do our courses with us. And one of them is a famous dancer, musician, actress, and writer. And she's struggling, trying to get screenplays bought and stuff like that. And then she came and did some work with us and realized that her soul's purpose was to create some art, some writing that would communicate to the mass population that everyone has an inner self and everyone's receiving inspiration. Everyone is being guided to what they truly want. As soon as she realized that, she started writing this novel, which she had never done before. And it just flowed out of her. Easiest thing in the world. Fun. It was as if the characters were just telling her their story, and she's just typing it down. She never had an experience like this before. And this was her soul. So everyone has a different soul's purpose, but we all have talents and attributes that are perfectly suited to our soul's purpose. So we choose the time and date of our birth. We choose our family. We set up this trajectory that leads us to this information. If anyone who's listening to this now, you've all set up your trajectory and you've all found this information because your soul's purpose is wanting to emerge in your life. It's not like if you didn't have a soul's purpose, you would never be listening to this now. So if you're listening to this now, you definitely have a soul's purpose. That soul's purpose emerges as you pay attention to what you're passionate about, what your interests are, and remove your attention from anything that you think is wrong or bad. So we can all become deliberate creators, which means that we can create on earth just as we could in the non-physical. But of course, if you're in fear and thinking things are wrong, you're going to start eradicating that which you do not like. And Joshua says, eventually you'll be in a completely white space because there'll be nothing left. You'll have eliminated all. You're so powerful that you could do that.
Yeah.
But of course, what we really want to do is want to create connections with everything, including the things we don't like. Now, everything that we truly want is on the other side of everything that we fear. So moving through that fear is part of this process.
Yeah, it truly is. It truly is. Like I give an example. For me, I was, and I've had to dance with it at times, even to this day, of course, but because these deeper things, it's not like I've mastered, I've kicked its butt, I'm on the other side of this limiting belief entirely. Like you think you got it licked and it comes back. It's a constant muse, right? It's a constant muse. For me, it might be like something like judging myself for wanting to be really enrolling with people sometimes. Hey, you if you didn't have this belief or that belief, you'd be signing up to do this work with me right now. And then I come across as I could be judged as being too salesy, right? Like, oh, you're too salesy. And then I'll judge myself. Okay, I'll tune it back. Oh, not that salesy. But what if it's authentic for me? What if it's authentic for me to lay it on thick? What if it's my soul's purpose I'm not saying it is or not for 100% today, but I'm just saying, like, what if it is? What if I'm saying this for other people listening, because this is an issue for people listening. Like, what if being as salesy as possible, it was part of your soul's purpose? What if it was? It could be, right? Because Source isn't looking at it like Source Energy isn't judging it. Like I truly believe there are people on here to be dark players on the planet. Like that's their soul's purpose. They're here to create all kinds of crap, and they're part of the whole scene of helping other souls to wake up. Like they're representing that for us. Like so, I just think it's my thing is we only suffer from judgment ultimately, and you go to your mind to try to figure out what's right or wrong or all this stuff. One of my teachers says, your mind has no clue what your life is supposed to look like. Your mind doesn't know. You can't come from that perspective. Right. So, but if you
have to be led there.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing too, but what if you have to be salesy what if you're saving someone's life?
Exactly.
And you know it, and they can't see it, right? So you want to have some kind of skill in that area, but we all hate salesy stuff.
Right.
But if it's authentic, it will not sound salesy to the other person.
Right.
Of course, we'll judge it as salesy,
right?
Because we're judging ourselves, and so we have to accept that this is part of who we are.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. I mean, because I have this story, like I've taken things too far at certain times, but I also have a story of like I might have saved their life. Like I definitely changed this person's life by asking them to take this step and to move forward with this. And there's just no question in my mind. Now, maybe they would have got the help from some other source, maybe, I don't know. But in that moment, I stood up, and in that moment, I did what I was supposed to do, even though judging eyes would have seen it as the wrong thing. Okay, you want to jump off the bridge? Have a good time. It's probably be a fun flight down. See you later. Maybe that is the right thing to say if that's like your thing in the world to be like that, right? I don't know, but we all have our own path. We're all
Yeah,
uniquely meant to serve the way we're meant to serve. I know that.
exactly. And the funny thing about that kind of judgment, especially about what other people might say, is we're putting those thoughts in their heads. We don't know what they're thinking,
Right.
So it's our thoughts anyway being
Right.
reflected back to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what I know, what people are thinking
Right.
about the process, other than the one or two or three or four, sometimes with one person in your whole life, they judge me so hard. Everybody's judging me. Like it's like it was one person. It could be like literally that low of a number. So, yeah, I know. Like I dealt with that because that's one of the things with spiritual rock stars, living your soul purpose, going to this next level. Like, and maybe you've experienced some of this. It's like as you get more visible, you get more bouquets, but you also have the experience of more arrows. Like, okay, whoa, now I'm getting all this. Better tone it down. Then like, and we try to play it safe. So, but we can accept like. So how do you handle that when because I'm sure it happens. You're fake. This isn't real. You're scamming people. All channelers get that. So how do you?
I haven't gotten any of that except for I had, I have a lot of great reviews and I put some little videos out on YouTube and those go out to everyone. So the people who listen to my podcast, the only way they find it is they're recommended from a friend or Law of Attraction Radio Network, or they type in Law of Attraction. So they're there. They get it. They've 99% of them have been into Abraham. This is just the next level up from the next, avenue towards a little bit more specific stuff. But on the YouTube, one comment was, he sounds really bored with what he's doing. I don't think this is calling. Maybe he should, get a vocation like a plumber or an electrician or something. But the funny thing is I moved to this small town. I moved from West Palm Beach to the small town called Newton in North Carolina. It's the most beautiful little town. It's got a town square. We're on Main Street. I know all my neighbors. I have them all on my phone. Everyone is so welcoming, but it's very religious, very, traditional Christian religious. And so the whole town knows me. I'm friends with everyone. We're part of the country club and all that stuff. But my other friends say, they're all like, what are they doing in there? What do they talk about? What do they believe? But luckily, a whole bunch of my friends have done our courses with us and they know exactly what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Now, there's always this cult thing. But the funny thing is, this would be the worst cult ever because the whole idea is that you stop listening to everyone else or someone else lead you and you start leading yourself. Right, so you cannot be a member of this cult. You have to be a member of your own cult, of you by yourself. So everyone is their own leader, their own teacher. And they have to listen to that inner wisdom and inspiration and guidance that comes from within. And that's what this is all about. Once you get to that level, then you realize, well, everyone else is living in fear. So whatever, triggers a limiting belief. If you're, a typical Christian, that's your belief. And I come along and say, God is not outside of you, it's in you. Then that's going to trigger you. And I can't do anything about that, But I'm not going to stop saying it. I'm not going to stop telling people what I know because it worked for me and it works for hundreds and thousands of other people who have been following this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to follow it because everyone has a mental construct that's pretty rigid. Mm-hmm. You have to let a crack in there, and that crack is everything is right. Once you start contemplating that idea, then you are guided to more information, wherever that comes from, that's right for you. And it's a gradual process of changing your entire mental construct from that of the victim to that of the creator. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you create your own reality, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, in a sense, right? Yeah.
Okay. So how do people create their own reality? Because that's true. This is a misunderstood statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the idea like yeah, well, you tell me. I mean, so how do you create your reality? I mean, there's the idea that we've got the subconscious, whatever goes into the subconscious is your garden. That's what you're going to project into your experience, all that, right? That there's all truth in that. So
right.
Absolutely. But the idea that, there are experiences you can have spiritually that I think the thing that the sense of pushback that maybe is coming through with me today is often the idea of being the creator of your life is like the idea of you're in control. Like I'm in control. I control my reality. That's it. I'll make it happen. I did that too, or whatever. And so I think it's a matter of your relationship with it. Number one. Number two, you're not creating, the you that thinks you created something typically is not ever what created it, right? So, but I know what you mean by it. But like, so I guess that's where I'm coming in. Yeah.
Well, you have a really good.
That's kind of yes.
Yeah, everyone thinks that to create your reality means to control it.
Right. Right.
Well, control is fear. So the last thing you want to do is control any of it.
Right.
The things that you can control are your thoughts and your perception of reality. Like I could tell everyone, think of a butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has a butterfly in their mind. Now, I didn't make them have that thought. They chose to think a thought of a butterfly.
Well, it's so instant, and you didn't even have a chance to think about it or not.
Yeah. So you changed your vibration and you attracted the thought of a butterfly without thinking. So this is how you create. So you've created the thought of the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what color is the butterfly? So think of look at the butterfly. What color is it? Now change the color of the butterfly. Okay. So you can do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can control those thoughts, then you can control your reality, because your reality is essentially, basically, at the very most basic level, is your thoughts becomes your reality. Now, take it one step further. Thoughts that are thought all the time become beliefs, and you can change those beliefs. We've all changed beliefs, sometimes without knowing it, but we've all had one belief and come to another belief. So beliefs can be completely changed from limiting to empowering. We have a process of how to do that. It's a 3-page form. It's called a manifestation event form. So you're triggered by something in the day. You write down what triggered you. Then you find the limiting belief, because without that limiting belief, you couldn't have been triggered. So you do that. It's not that easy to do. There's a whole bunch of parts of this. And at the end of it, you prove to yourself, you find evidence that that limiting belief is not true. You use evidence either in your life or the life of someone you know, like men don't like women under 5 feet, right? So then you could prove, you have friends who have, or you've seen people, there are examples of relationships that exist that way. It's not true.
Right.
Yeah. And so you whittle away at your mental construct by noticing these limiting beliefs that pop up and then proving them false. And then over time, you're able to do that mentally when anything happens.
Right.
I had an event. This is my most, biggest, huge manifestation event that I had a while ago. So about a year ago, we had a dog named Tucker who was just amazing. And Tucker got out of the house and got hit by a car in the front yard. And he passed away. I came home from the vet, and the lady who had hit him, she was here. The whole town was here. There's a whole bunch of people, and they're all taking care of Tucker. We got him in the car and everything. She comes back and she says, "I'm the lady that hit your car. How is he?" And I said, "He passed away." And she said, "Oh, I'm very sorry, but he did damage to my car. This is a new car, and I'm going to need you to pay for it." All right. So my immediate, I feel negative emotion. I'm looking like, how dare you? You just killed my dog. But I stopped and I said, okay, just give me your information. I'll call the insurance company and we'll work something out.
Yeah.
Right. And I expressed love to her instead of expressing rage. I was drawn into that consciousness of fear, but I didn't act because I could control it. I knew better, right? After doing this work for so long. And so I offered love, and of course she never came back. And I felt just so good about that I was able to, in the face of this thing that I would have thought was such a horrible thing, was able to express love.
Right.
Instead.
Right. Yeah. If we would just, that was one of those, if we would just, right. But if we could just, the experience, the evolution we can experience, if we can allow ourselves to understand with love, it's like, okay, if you try to understand with your logic, your belief system, all that, forget about it. Like, half the time you will, half the time you won't. Right.
Right.
So, but if you go to understand from love, you'll always understand. You'll always understand. So
and that's how you create your reality.
Yeah.
You create by these expressions of love, and then expressing more and more love and connection to every aspect of your reality. As you do this, everything gets better. You see yourself from a higher perspective and you get more inspiration. That's, in my mind, that's how we create a reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, create, or, like for me, yeah, I mean, I could go with that, but I also could go with allow for the reality we'd love to experience, or there's all kinds of different ways we could put it in there. I used to be with more of the controlling energy with creating is what I've worked through, because I'd be like, I can manifest anything. Watch me do it. Here it goes. Bam. Like, boom, another one, right? That's how we are when we first get into it, because it's so exciting, right? I'm in charge now. Look out, and like as my path has continued for me anyway, it's looked like more letting go of that and more in the deeper space of for me, I would say is a little bit more of allowing, but then there's the belief work to do and everything that you're working on yourself, and in that sense, yeah, totally, we're creating at a minimum our perceived reality, right? So
well, you nailed it on the head there. We're creating our perception of reality.
Yes.
And that can be based in love or based in fear. Either way, you're creating it.
Yeah.
No one thinks they have control over that perception part of it. They think they have the control over the people, the places, and the conditions. They don't realize it's all a perceptual thing. Right. So you start controlling that perception and elevating that perception, and then everything starts to reflect this elevated perception.
Right.
Now, you can't specifically know what that's going to look like.
Right.
But it's going to feel really good and be aligned with who you are and move you along this journey, discover who you are. And that's a wonderful journey. Now, the other opposite is trying to control things to make sure that you get what you think you want out of your reality. So that's all about me. What can I get from my reality? And that never works. You can see anyone who is living this life where they're trying, and this is most people, trying to get people to respect them and like them and love them and get more money and get things for them.
Right.
What you end up doing is realizing I don't need any. If I'm the creator, I don't need anything. Right. I do not need anything. I'm here to create and express and give. And so finding your soul's purpose is, for me anyway, was about turning that around. My first 50 years or first 45 years was all about how much can I get for me?
Right.
Turn that around, and it's like, how much can I give?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which, a lot of the people listening, actually, that is maybe their number one issue, but then they have an issue with receiving. They'll put up all kinds of like, oh, I'm not going to receive though. Like,
yeah, that's true.
What would you say to the stubborn receivers?
Well, you have to feel worthy. So this work is a work of, feeling worthy, which means that you don't need to improve. You're perfect as you are. You're unique. There's only going to be one human in the existence of the universe that's going to experience what you're experiencing and perceive your life as you're perceiving it. That's valuable to all that is. It's part of the tapestry of all that is. And without your life, there'd be a hole in the tapestry of all that is. So you're equal to everyone else who's ever had an experience. And because your experience is so unique, that's why it's so valuable. And you'll know that for sure when you transition to the non-physical. But if you could live a life now, understanding your value and your worthiness, and then realizing it's not about you, it's about what can you express, how can you express your love to your reality? That's how everything changes. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not easy, and it goes against most of our belief systems. But when you start uncovering those nuggets, those limiting beliefs. Now, we just had a Joshua Live earlier today, and one of the person's questions was, they've uncovered this massive limiting belief that I'm a disappointment. And Joshua eloquently on this 5-minute answer was, you put that limiting belief there. You, from the non-physical, knew that your life was going to be creating this trajectory based on this highly limiting belief that you're a disappointment. Now that you've uncovered this limiting belief that you buried, you've found it, and now you can deal with it. you can process that.
Mhm.
And it almost brought him to tears because he is the creator of his reality from the non-physical perspective as well, who put all these little boulders under the ground for him to discover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all very interesting, right? So it's all very fascinating.
Now I know you help people with discovering their own soul purpose, because people are like, oh, I don't know, I'm inspired towards a lot of things. I don't know what my soul purpose is, and there may not be a way for us to help people understand what that is definitively, like on a podcast. So where where can people go to? I know you've got some free gifts and whatnot to share with everybody. Want to tell them about those?
Yeah. Well, a vital first step is meditation.
Yep.
So Joshua's put together these meditations. They're 15 minutes long. They're all same length. They're guided. They start with this information and then these affirmations. And it really, I listen to them every day, really starts to let you pay attention to the thoughts you've been thinking, and then to let them go. They're not your thoughts. You're not making them up. You're not creating them. They're just coming based on your vibration. And so as you meditate, you're raising your vibration now, and those thoughts don't come so much while you're meditating. And then you start to tap into this higher thought while you're meditating. So those are free. And we have a link for those, I believe.
Yes.
So once you get to this level where you're perceiving your life as good, you're understanding that the things you think are wrong are based in limiting beliefs, you elevate yourself to a platform where you start to receive inspiration. And when that inspiration comes, when you act on that, you'll start this journey that takes however ever it takes, that will lead you to your soul's purpose. It does every time. The time it takes depends on how rigid your mental construct is and how willing you are to entertain the idea that everything's right and that you have limiting beliefs. But if you stick to it, it works 100% of the time. If you're actually listening to this, you have a soul's purpose. You don't know what it is and you don't know how to get there, but your inner self does. So it's this act of faith. Once you get to the state of alignment, you will go through it. And just getting to alignment changes your life, because this is a feeling reality. All we're ever doing is feeling something. So we're either feeling good or bad. If you could feel good 10% more of the time, your life would just be magical. So this is how we help people feel good, get into alignment. And this is the base state. Once that state takes root, all their relationships improve, their finances improve, their career improves, all these things improve, not because I've done anything, but because they've done the work to change their perception of themselves.
Right.
That perception of self is your vibration. So when you really, this is the most important work you can do. Here's the salesy part coming out. But really is. And, if you would have told me this 10 years ago, I would have said, that's woo-woo and everything. But I wouldn't be listening to this podcast, right? So we know that the people who are listening to this podcast are looking for a way to elevate their spiritual practice so that they can do what they came here to do.
Right.
And yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful that you have the ability to help people. I mean, dropping those limiting beliefs, and then with meditation, I mean, those are core staples right there. And then you've got your teachings, with the channeled messages and everything that you share.
So everything's channeled. None of it's me. I'm just facilitating it.
The guided.
Yeah. So this whole process comes from Joshua.
Yeah. So you can go to, I can tell them the free gift link, and we'll also put it in the show notes. It's The Teachings of Joshua. That's JOSHUA for that. So the teachings of Joshua.com/free-stuff/. So if you go there, you'll get access to that. So, all right. So we got to, the point of the show where I like to go ahead and do some tuning in for my guests. So are you ready to receive that?
I'm excited.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, let's see what wants to come through. So I usually go with 3 things that want to come through. Let's see what it is. They're just showing me the love that you have, that there is this like just free, unbounded energy that you have. So like there's still another level of it. You know, I mean, we all have different levels, but just like whereas just like I see you like laughing, like just like it's just like the energy, just like the whole world just a huge playground, and it's that sense of joy going to another level. And so yeah, it's just so freeing, because the old energy is like, all right, what do we got to do? You know, like kind of energy is what I flick up on. So like this energy is like so free. It's like, oh yeah, this is the way I always wanted life to be, you know. So I just noticed that that's going to another level. And let's see what else. I don't know. It's an interesting message. Usually they're clear, but this message isn't as clear. There's something about your toes or something. It's showing me your toes, and it just this like they're saying something about you know, this unsightliness that concerns you. May not be your toes, but like they're just showing me your toes. But like this unsightliness. You know, so there's still fear. Like I guess it comes back to what you were saying already, but like there's fear of judgment still. Like, oh my God, when I'm fully naked, what do people really think now? Like I should bear the real fullness, even another level. Oh my,
100%.
yeah.
Yep, totally.
Anyway, so that's coming through. Let's see what else. There's many messages that always come through. The other thing is that you have a gift of being able to, you know, tap into maybe people's, you know, records, timelines, like all these different threads, and you're like, you can just review them, like boom, 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 boom. It's almost like I almost feel like you're a movie maker, like, oh, we could just slice that in there or whatever. And with their permission, their higher selves with permission, like you're just like working with them, like you're dropping it into them. Maybe you're doing it through the channeling even, but I'm sure. But yeah, they're just showing me that. And it's, you know, like it's one of those gifts, like I've scanned thousands of people. Like I haven't seen this particular one pop up like that before. Like it's really interesting. It's just like editing a movie. It's really, really fascinating. So
Wow. That's great. Yeah. I can see if people are channels ahead of time. And a lot of times we have our first conversation with someone and I'll say, you're a channel. They say, no, I'm not. Then there's a couple of people have become very big, full-on channels. And a lot of people are channeling, doing movies and TV and music and things like that.
Oh, interesting.
A lot of Hollywood people, and a lot of people are in therapy, some therapists, you know, like psychologists and things like that, and some doctors as well. And they've all been able to get that through it and go to this completely different level of it. And it's funny because I could see it ahead of time. Not I can see it with the people who are going to be that. Yeah. Not all the time. Sometimes they come along. And then Joshua has this way of when you get to that level of alignment, stopping resisting, your natural talents and abilities start to emerge. And this is one for a lot of people, you know, writing and speaking and, you know, several podcasts, maybe 15 podcasts that started by people in the group, and full-on channels and things like that. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah. You hit that one right in the head there.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. I mean, I think that's so wonderful. It's part of also, I mean, I think hopefully we do that as channels, is helped other people to see their channels too, because I know I've inspired other people, and it's so beautiful, right? To
Yeah.
show that to people, train people even a little bit, and then see people out there doing it. It's so beautiful. It's so like, oh my God, this is so amazing, right? Yeah, it's so wonderful. I'm so
That was
grateful.
great. Those 3 messages were fantastic.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And so if people want to check me out, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com, and I have an opportunity for energy scanning there. So there's an application to fill out. So if you want me to tune into to your energy and see what's going on and help you with landing more with your purpose and your business and all that sort of stuff, that's all part of what I do. You can check that out at yoursacredpurpose.com. I also have a meditation of my own, Meditate and Make Money. Opens you up, gets your vibration energy turned on around money, and gets you that inspiration you're looking for what wants to unfold, those activations and inspirations to move on from meditation, open up your chakras and energies there. And always hear like a lot of great things I think people are experiencing from that meditation. Check that out at yoursacredpurpose.com. And so, Gary, this is a wonderful conversation, and I appreciate you so much. And I really love too the opportunity to have this kind of discussion with the fellow channeler as well. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Daniel.
thanks for being a guest today. Yeah.
It was my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for listening in. Keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. So next time, everyone, goodbye for now. Listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.